perhaps, but now it appears in its haste to get out of town for Easter, Republicans felt the pressure and are hopefully now, it looks like, going to get that legislation through. And not a moment too soon as people head out for spring break today and prepare for the Easter holiday. So it was ugly out there for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now spring break finally put the last screw, it appears, to Congress. They want to get out of town, so they're going to hopefully now pay our TSA agents and fund DHS.
Yeah, let's certainly hope so. With us this morning, we have the co-host of our 9 a.m. hour, staff writer of The Atlantic, Jonathan Lemire, as excited as I am about how the Red Sox began. And MS Now senior Capitol Hill reporter and host of Way Too Early. She doesn't know it yet, but I think she, too, now is a Red Sox fan. Ali Vitale, is that right, Ali? And MS Now national affairs analyst John Heilman. He's a partner and chief political columnist at the Puck. He, of course, supports the Death Star. He is a Dodgers fan. So, Willie, we had the breaking news overnight that we were talking about. We can get to baseball later, but Senate lawmakers have passed a bill, and they're going to fund most of the Department of Homeland Security. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so the move, as I said, finally could bring an end to the weeks-long shutdown that's caused those hours-long lines for you at airports across the country. The measure was passed through unanimous consent. It would fund the department except for ICE and Border Patrol. That's something Democrats have been offering for weeks, and now it heads to the House for consideration. This comes just hours after President Trump said he would sign an emergency order to ensure TSA agents get paid. He made that announcement on social media, blaming what he called a true national crisis on Democrats, adding that he would order Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin to immediately pay agents. The administration didn't provide any further details. So, Ali Vitale, let's go to your congressional beat here and how this all played out yesterday. Clearly, Republicans felt the pressure from the scenes they were watching on television, the phone calls they were getting from constituents, the desire to get out of town, as I said, for the 2-week recess. How did this all play out yesterday, starting with the president's announcement on social media, and then in the early hours of this morning, hopefully now a measure to get TSA agents paid?
A cascading effect, frankly, Willie, because you saw the president there making a concession saying, OK, we'll pay TSA agents, which effectively takes the pain leverage off the table from a political sense, but does the moral thing of giving these people a semblance of when their next paycheck is going to come, because this would have been today another missed payday. So we'll watch that. It also gives Democrats a new political cudgel in that they can now say what you asked, which is if this was an option all along, and it's also not clear that it was from the perspective of we don't know that the president can just sign an executive order and say, OK, pay these people. But if that is something that he can do, Democrats are now asking, why didn't you just do this 41 days ago and save these TSA workers the pain of not knowing when their next paycheck would come? And then there's the way that the Senate actually went about and did this, because we've seen this deal come together and fall apart a dozen times over the course of the last month plus. And yet last night, it was a mix of the dynamics that you mentioned, jet fumes and Senate magic, helping them get this over the finish line. They did it through something called unanimous consent, all 100 senators basically saying, all right, you agree to pass this and to bypass all of the procedural motions that we would need to actually take it to a floor vote. OK, we've now passed it and we are on our way out the door for a 2-week recess. It leaves a lot of questions, though. First and most immediately, when does the House take this up? It's not clear what they're going to do. Maybe it's later this morning. They've got votes at 10 a.m. You look at the dynamics there. I don't imagine that most Democrats are on board for passing it, but they might not all need to be. And then there's an open question for 2 weeks from now when Congress comes back. What happens to the parts of DHS, specifically ICE and border protections, that aren't funded in this? And are there guardrails that will still be placed on ICE? Remember, that's what started all of this. And Democrats are now coming away, yes, getting the deal that they've been proposing for weeks, saying fund everything except for these immigration enforcement entities. But I think it also says the quiet part out loud. Republicans going along with this because ICE always had its funding through the mechanism that they passed last summer, the reconciliation, so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. ICE always had its funding from that. And so now the open question is, does it reopen? What does it look like when it reopens? And are there any guardrails placed on this institution that even Republicans acknowledge has gotten way out over what it should actually be doing? Of course, evidenced by the fact that 2 Americans were killed earlier this year on the ground in Minnesota.
Yeah, John Heilman, it's all of those questions will be handled when they come back, when Congress comes back. The thing that seemed to me that I just couldn't imagine was them leaving for their spring break while people are going on spring break, while people are trying to get home for religious holidays. We talked about yesterday, Easter, trying to get everybody together for Easter or Passover or whatever religious gatherings there are coming up. And it just seemed that there's just no way Republicans could leave Washington, D.C. saying no for like the 10th, 11th, 12th time for TSA funding. And you just look at it, and let's just talk about really quickly. I'll just throw it to you really quickly. Just the chaos that seemed to be out there. I talked about how I was standing in the line at LaGuardia for an hour and a half, and somebody said, wait a second, you want to run Iran and you can't even run your effing airports? You can't run LaGuardia? And a lot of anger there, and it was rising up because Republicans own Washington. But, man, you have Iran. You have high gas prices. You have the polls just plummeting for Republicans. And then you had this chaos, which I will say it now that we're beyond it. A lot of cops, a lot of police commissioners, a lot of security people, were constantly saying, Joe, this is an extraordinary, a really frightening possibility for terrorism, where people are milling around on the wrong side of the security screenings, and Republicans were just sitting there letting it happen. I'm count me thankful that it looks like this is going to finally be resolved. But man, what damage was done to the Republican Party while they let this fester for 5 weeks, while an unpopular war was going on and gas prices are spiking.
Yeah, Joe, I was concerned about your situation yesterday. I'm hoping you made it wherever you needed to make it without too much, having to hitchhike or, take the Trailways bus or whatever, because obviously the chaos is not yet lifted. We don't even know, as we said. It looks like you managed to get wherever you were going. I mean, the airports have been a nightmare. Yeah, good. That's all that matters. Safe and sound. Yeah. The airports have been a nightmare, and I think that in the end, right, we have seen so many funding crises and so many partial government shutdowns, temporary government shutdowns, full government shutdowns, an unprecedented number of them over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. I think that all that gets left here politically when this is all passed, right, is that this is going to be a thing that people broadly associate with Republicans, because Republicans run the Congress and they run the White House. They're going to remember this period probably dimly, that there was this kind of this chaotic period in the airports when other stuff seemed to be spiraling out of control. That is the narrative, I think, that it's based in reality, that where the Trump presidency and Republican control of Congress have gotten to in most people's mind. The headline here is things are out of control. Republicans own that things are out of control. Democrats are trying for a period of time to get at least this aspect of life back under control. Will they get a ton of credit? Will this thing be the determinative factor in the midterms? No. But it's nothing about this. It does anything to counteract the overwhelming political headwinds that Republicans are facing now, and the broader picture of dysfunction and disarray, both at home and abroad. So I think, Republicans, you're right. They did, as they often do, waited until the last possible moment when it became unimaginable to continue with something. They finally decided that they absolutely had to figure out some way to get things back on track in this one area. But I think the broader picture of political damage has not been altered by this sudden save.
And we've got some new Fox News polling this morning we'll get to in a moment that underlines John's point about the hole that Republicans find themselves in politically right now. Jonathan Lemire, just to watch yesterday play out. Yesterday morning, obviously, on this program, we and many others were outraged by what we were seeing because it was such an unnecessary crisis created by politicians in Washington. Donald Trump consumes media. He listens to phone calls. He watches TV. He sees those lines. And so he stepped in suddenly with this emergency order. Again, something, if he was concerned about this, he could have done many weeks ago and set this in motion. Did the White House begin to hear the noise and feel the pressure of quieting the criticism that comes with these lines and to get people moving again.
Yeah, they did. And the lines are such a tangible thing. We could all see and we could experience them. And they were just simply, they were horrendous and they were inexcusable. And certainly the narrative changed in the last couple of days, including on this show, about how they also were a security risk. What a soft target they would have been, where someone could have walked into an airport, not go through any sort of security screening, and suddenly find thousands of Americans standing there. You know, at a time of war, that's a dangerous proposition. So that's part of it. You're absolutely right. The media coverage, very negative. The president, very attuned to that. And, you know, this is, I do think, to Heilman's point, a lot of these government shutdowns, they don't matter. They come and they go, right? Like, in the moment, they feel like a big deal. And certainly for the workers who aren't getting their paycheck, they are a big deal. But a few weeks later, everyone sort of moved on. This one, because of those lines in the airport, I think it might have a little more stickiness, a little more staying power, just in partially because it adds to this sort of general picture that in particular the Republicans in Washington are out of touch about what matters. To Joe's point about that foul-mouthed commuter he ran into at LaGuardia, like they're more concerned, the president's more concerned about what's going on overseas rather than in his backyard. And, by the way, what he's doing overseas this morning, Ron, is simply making things more expensive here at home. So this was something that was bad for Republicans. We know the Senate for days now has wanted to get a deal. And then finally the president steps in. It looks like late night we have something working on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue as well. But I think this is just adds to a really negative political picture for the GOP.